Okay, welcome to this little tutorial. We're actually going to start to put in some video elements and actually do the first step in starting to think about your game elements. So this is for those that are wanting to do a bit of a narrative-based game, or this is also a really awesome way to trigger a cutscene. So basically, I've got a couple of things new. Is first of all, in front of the main camera, as a child of the main camera, is a player trigger. So this is just a 3D cube with the mesh renderer turned off, the tag of player, we've got a box collider, and I've made it quite big. I've made it 3x3x3, so it's quite large, so you trigger events nice and easily, so you might want to play with that a little bit. And then we've got a rigid body with 0, 0 and his kinematic. And kinematic, what that means is when I press play, actually let me so you'll see it, let's turn on mesh render. We'll go into play mode. And you'll see you now have this cube out in front of you. Okay, when we turn the mesh render off, it's like it's never there. But what that is going to do is that's going to trigger any actions, as soon as you have physical interaction with anything. And so the first thing we're going to do is set up a little video player. Now there's two types of video players. I've only set the trigger for one, but you can set it for the other two. The first is called a quad. You simply import a new quad and add the video player component. We manually map to our clip. Plan of work means it plays straight away, you start here, but we can add a script later that'll change that. You definitely want to wait for the first frame, it just makes sure it plays nicely. And then for this one we're doing a material override. So let's play and see what that looks like. So we'll just look to let's turn off the player trigger. I'll need to do that. Mesh render, but if we look to, I think it's to the right here, where is it? There it is. And we can walk over to that, but I'm just holding the headset now for ease. That video is now playing in the distance, and later on we can set a trigger, so as you get closer it starts playing. So it's quite a nice little way to do a bit of some storyline, or making it actually a story-based game. You can also do a counter in your script. That means that it'll only play once and won't play again in the game. The other type of player is more for a cutscene type situation. And what I'll do is I'll actually play that first. We'll go into play and you'll see. So you can actually start from the end, what the end will look like. I'm just going to put a controller on. As I said, this player trigger is actually really, really handy. You can also use this to spawn objects for a first-person shooter. You can make it a controllable object, so it can be something that interacts with things around you, as you've seen in the archery type game. So that sort of becomes your character as such. You could also make that we could also probably play with that being an actual boned and rigged character, so you're in a first-person shooter type situation. Sorry, third-person view. So let's play, and on the other side, I've done it again, let's turn on the play trigger, let's turn that mesh render off so we don't see it. So on the other side of the box, there's oops, it's telling me my batteries are running low. Oh, I might have to turn that one off. Let me grab the other one off. Sorry about this. I think because it's actually... So, yep, and now... Sorry, it took me a little bit there. I actually think I've got to work that box collider so it's not in the way of my controller. But as soon as I've hit a trigger point, the video I wanted, which obviously you've seen this video, bear in mind we're now looking at both eyes, so this screen is the left and the right eye. You'll see it across the whole screen, so it's really good for a cutscene. You need to remember with VR though, the center of your video will need to be the core. You can't have too much happening out in the corners. It's quite difficult to see. So you really want to make sure that the very center sphere of your video here is the core. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. And that will play for a certain period and then disappear. So how do we do this? We have three things. Obviously, we have this player trigger, and we might need to move that behind a little bit because I think it was interfering with the controllers. We then have a video player, and this is a game object video player. You just so it's a video and bring in the video player. And for this video player, we're in the camera near plane. Okay, and what that means is it basically blocks everything that's in front of your eyes. So if you have some UI elements or something you want, then you might want to use the far plane, but it'll tend to be blocked by things or any objects in front of you. So near plane basically wraps around everything, and then we actually select our video clip. MP4 H.264 codec is the best codec to use, and then we have a trigger, and our trigger again is a. Let's go up and get rid of hide this. So we keep seeing this. It's confusing me. So then we have a video trigger. And the video trigger again is a simple large cube, big nice space so it's easy to crash into. Don't make it too small unless you want it as part of your mechanic. And then turn on as a box collider. And we've got a script attached to that which has two public classes. One is for the video player, and that's where you actually bring this object here in. Oops, that was the bell, by the way, school's over. We actually drag that into there so it knows what the player is, and time to stop is the amount of time that video is going to play. So if you've got a 60-second video, you'll need that set to 60 seconds sort of play, and it'll destroy the player. So let's actually go look at our script, and obviously by now we know how to add a script. So let's open that up. So as I said, that time to stop, if it was say you had as a quad, you would actually remove that variable and you remove that element from the script. There is also nothing wrong with you having a count, so an event count. So you would that form. Okay, so let's start to look at this script. It's quite simple. We've got two public classes that you've already seen. One defines the game object that is in this case is the video player. The other one is the time to stop. We on load want to set that active to false. That stops the video from playing by default. And then we've got a simple OnTriggerEnter from the collider and the player. And if the player object tag is a player, then we begin playing the video, and then we destroy that video player, that's this object up here, at the time to stop, which is the time we did through the public class, the variable. It's a very simple way, and again, once you start to get your head around this, you actually start to realise this is really the beginning of many things. This is the beginning of your interaction with your player character with other game elements, and you really start to do game design. But the first step is a nice video, and it's a really cool way to make for those that have already made a game environment to start their first game can actually be just a short story that has some video elements where they're exploring a world, adding video elements with some fairly simple scripting. So I hope this has helped you take the next step in your game development journey.